Hey, it's Marty Rawson here with Gabe's Cave, and today I have McLain, McGuire,
That's right.
and McLain has probably 10 titles
I've done a few things.
under his name, and I know a few of them are. He's definitely a phenomenal letterer.
Thank you.
He's an artist, a creator, a designer,
God, that's a lot.
and he's got a great looking haircut.
Oh, thanks, man.
I mean, can't say anything bad about them bald headed guys.
I
right?
did what I could to brush my hair in the morning and comb. I don't know. It looks good though.
So, McLain, we've been talking quite a bit here lately, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's
you,
been.
you guys got me a part of your book, which was phenomenal. You know, anything that's related around movies and that kind of continuity was a lot of fun. You know, so I mean, I was honored to be a part of that book. You know, and
Well, the people don't know about it. We
the-
haven't talked about it at
well,
all. It's
we
the
need
first
to talk
time.
about that. Well,
Yeah, so everybody knows I was a part of writing this comic, and McLain was actually the one that lettered it and actually did some designing on it too.
I did,
Helped me on it. But we have our first comic book out, and I'll just kind of show it to everybody. It's called Office Place, and it's really I think it's cool.
I thought it was a really good idea.
And anyway, we used it for RPG is the company that sponsors our Gabe's Cave,
Right.
and it's one of their new comic books. And like I said, I was one of the ones with that wrote it with Brandon Johnson and
That's
Nick
awesome.
Ray. And man, just the people in it. Like Tone Rodriguez done a lot of the artwork. Jorge Cortez done the coloring.
Colors are poppy. I love the colors on it. I mean, Tone's a great artist, fantastic. I loved how he had it. And, part of my job being a letterer and a designer is I get all of those inked pages first. So you get to see Tone's work, before it's colored up. And so to be lettering those pages was just an honor to be lettering something Tone Rodriguez, did. I'm like, what is going on in my world? And then, George comes in and colors it, and those pages are just beautiful. The colors are vibrant, and it made the story flow even better,
I thought it was phenomenal myself.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna shut that book, and I'm gonna just hand it over there to that. How about that? So McLain, how long have you been in the industry?
I've been in the industry for about 16 years. I got in the industry by accident because I've always been a designer, but I've worked in the music industry for over about 27, 28 years. And so in early 2000, I became a designer because the guy that was making our flyers at the time for our band, the more we did, the more work he had to do.
Right.
And so finally he laid a big ass, Photoshop book on my table and the disc and said, I'm done. This is all you, bro. And so to learn how to use Photoshop, I had nobody to teach me. I wasn't going to read this 20,000 page book because I'm just not going to do it. And so I was making people's business cards, and I was making people's brochures, and just trying to learn that system, and became a designer, and then making our own posters for our band, and making T-shirts and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, I worked for a comic book company. And the guy wanted to put together a collective of artists and writers. And, I've always been a comic book fan. I've been collecting since I was about 5 or 6 years old. And so to work on a comic book, I thought, man, I don't even know what the structure of that is. I learned the hard way. But it was so much fun, and I enjoyed it so much. I just kept doing it and kept doing it. It's a drug, man. The more you do, the better you get, of course. But the more exciting about things that you get to see, like the indie stuff, and even as far as the Office Place book. I mean, you don't get enough of that stuff. And so I started off as a letterer, I started off as a designer, and I was lettering comic books, putting like credits pages together, taking logos and building them and putting them on covers, and then just one thing after another, doing more books. And all of a sudden, you start working with some people, and you start, well, I can correct that real quick with my artwork. And so I'd correct some, stuff for people. And people are like, oh, you're an artist too? Like, I like to play with that too, And so Chris had a couple books that, we were one of those things where we didn't want to go back to the artist and go, can you redo this panel? And so I'm a very good manipulator on artwork and digital, and so I just went in and I redrew panels and stuff like that just to make it work, so we wouldn't bother anybody. And so, yeah, that's part of having a foot in the door. And the last 3 years have been phenomenal for me because now I'm working with people like Murat Michaels. I got, the guys, the Oh My God, working with Tone Rodriguez, working on y'all's book, working with Chris Hayes at Four Leaf. And I've been able to do a couple things for Marvel. And now with DC Comics, working on a book with Chad Harding about a few months ago, which was phenomenal. Getting a message from Chad Harding that draws Harley and going, "You letter comics?" "Yes." "Okay, I got this book." That was it. And I was just like, did this guy really
Short and
message
sweet.
me?
Short and
Like,
sweet.
is this happening? Is somebody punking me? Is Rob punking me? That was my guess, really. But no,
Well,
I mean, it's been phenomenal. And all right, man, that's courtesy
Uncle
service.
Uncle
I like
Nasty.
being at this
Uncle
booth.
Nasty.
You notice I opened my legs a little bit. No, I just in working with these guys at the Oh My God, booth and stuff like that. I mean, it's just been phenomenal, man.
So you're a writer, I know that, because I know
did.
you have your own book and everything.
Yeah.
And so one of the questions, what's your favorite nursery rhyme?
Oh my
As
God.
a writer, think about it. What's your favorite nursery rhyme?
Oh man. So I just pulled a favorite because I have a 5-year-old. So he was doing this October rhyme, nursery rhyme. Oh shoot! of course I'm going to draw a blank on it, but I don't know. I can't even think of what it is, but it's now my new favorite. Old nursery rhymes, man. I don't even know.
All right, so I got one more since you couldn't answer that one.
Yeah, that was a
right.
tough one.
So Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water.
Yeah.
What for?
I don't know, but
No one knows because it never told.
Yeah, because one of them fell down, and that sucks because that hurt.
So let me ask you a question, because you said something about earlier. You said something that they give you a big old 200-page book that you wasn't going to read. Did you ever take a course on calligraphy?
No.
That's calligraphy.
Yeah, no, I never did. So a really good friend of mine, she knew a little bit about lettering from going to college, and she taught me a few things. And then I made friends, like miraculously, with the letterer for Walking Dead, Invincible, and all that, Russ Wooten. And him and I started kind of going back and forth, and I was just asking him for pointers and stuff like that. And he gave me a lot of cool pointers on how to letter and stuff like that. And then I ran into my good friend Rob Gilroy out of Louisiana. They were working on Chew at the time with John Lehman. And John Lehman's a letterer. And so John Lehman started giving me pointers. And I was just like, it was all these really cool professional pointers. And so I used that to my advantage. But I won't ever forget what John Lehman told me. He said, "Hey, I'm giving you lettering standards, ideas, but there are no more standards. So do whatever you want to do." And so I just kind of built my own craft. And yeah, I've had a couple people along the way I've worked on books that have been like, they should have rulers in their hands and be like, "Schwack, you're not supposed to do it like that. You redo it, do it like this." And that's fine. But then there's people like you guys, Oh My God guys and Chris, that let me spread my wings and do whatever I want. And that's where the true craft of what I'm doing comes out. And so it's a lot of fun for me,
You done a phenomenal job on our book, and I don't
Thank
see
you.
why other people, other companies wouldn't be using you like.
I appreciate that.
All together. I mean, I'm nothing like DC or Marvel. I'm just a little small company,
But it's so fun.
In my industry, I'm a pretty big thing in our industry, but not in the comic industry.
Right.
But so let me ask you this: if you could letter any cover or any story in the industry, who would it be with?
So anybody that knows me knows automatically. I've lettered a lot of phenomenal books. Y'all's book, everybody else's book. I love working on those books. But if anybody knows me, I'm a huge Spider-Man nut. If there was one book, I might even retire after that. At that point, if somebody said, "Here's Amazing Spider-Man, letter one book," I'd be like, "All right, guys, I'm out. That's it." That would be my thing, and it's not only because I love Spider-Man. It's because you got to separate dialogue from him thinking and processing humor, and everybody doing speech bubbles, meaning like Peter Parker, he thinks a lot. He's not talking out loud, obviously, so he's thinking a lot. But then he has all these cue humor, and you got to be able to letter that to where people laugh when they're reading the book. And
Right.
then you got everybody else talking around him.
That's right.
So those are the things that I want to do. Those are kind of, I think, maybe challenges that I want to do. And, of course, that would be the ultimate book for me. Like anything Spider-Man, because, I mean, I got the guy tattooed on my body.
I mean, he was my childhood favorite when I was a kid. I mean, I grew up. I mean, I have three. My three favorite are definitely Spider-Man's number one.
Yeah.
And then I have Shadow and Green Hornet.
Wow, Shadow, that's
So
awesome.
I remember as a kid listening to Shadow on the radio.
Nice.
And Green Hornet, my brother was a black belt in karate, so karate was always so Bruce Lee and Green Hornet, you just couldn't go wrong.
Yeah,
So
good cult classic too, man.
Definitely. And so, them were grails that all three of those were grails that were on our list to get the first appearance of. And
absolutely.
And just so happened we've actually obtained those goals. So we don't really have any goals to go out there and get right now. But, so getting involved in the industry has been really fun.
Oh, yeah.
And meeting people like yourself and people like Chris Hayes and Tone and Rob and all them, which I've been hanging around them a lot. And Jeremy Clark and all them. But, it's been really good. So what's some of the latest work that you've done?
So
besides my book.
Right. The most recent would be yours. So I just picked up a job with Murat Michaels, which I am phenomenally overwhelmed by because Murat, Rob Liefeld, all those guys work together. So one of the things I've always told my wife is like, there's got to be a chance in my life, being a huge Rob Liefeld fan, that I could get a chance to letter one of his books. But here I get Murat, same thing, messaging me up, like, hey, I got this Naughty and Nice book. Can you letter it for me? Like, oh my God, that's so cool because that dude is all over the place, and what an opportunity for me as a letterer. But then working with Chad Harding was on Hellbringers with Mark May and all those guys, working with all those cover artists like, Eddie Nunez and Ryan Kincaid, all those guys, I mean, just those have been my most recent work. And so I just picked up a job with Jerry Roscoe, just waiting on pages to come through, and he's done a lot of work for like Marvel and all those guys. And so I'm phenomenally overwhelmed by the amazing, opportunities that I've gotten here recently. And this year's been really good to me because if all goes planned, this will be my biggest year from even last year. This year I will have lettered about 23 books. So
That's awesome, man.
I'm just just overwhelmed.
Well, like you said, if you don't go in there with one foot, step both foot
right.
in. You got Murat Michaels right now, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Rob's right there next to it, right?
Yeah, and I don't know how many people that I've lettered their books have we're in a meeting conversation and they're like, oh, we wish we had somebody that could come in and design and put ads together. I'm like, okay, I can do that for you. Well, what about credit pages? So I can do that for you. Well, we got all these letters we need to put on covers. Just let me do it. And then it comes down to now we got to hire somebody to format the book to get it ready for printing. I'm like, I do that too.
A man with all the powers.
Yeah, I'm like,
He can do
just tell me what you want. I'll tell you what I cannot do. At this point. But that's the fun about it. And I think, in my opinion, all letterers should be that way. They should be able to format the books, get them ready for printing, just like your book. Going into this, Tone and them, they knew that, I'm not only going to letter the book. I'm going to format it. I'm going to get it ready for print so Derek and those guys can just print and go. And that's all they got to do, And I think that's what people need in this industry is people that can go in and kind of make sure everything's safe before it goes to the printer, because some printers are not going to be like Derek or other printers that are going to take their time and look at everything. They're just going to go, well, you gave me the file. Here's your 1,000 books. And you're like, well, this looks like crap. Well, this is the file you gave me. So I make sure before it even goes into the printer's hand that it's formatted and properly set up to where nothing's going to get cut off, nothing's going to bleed over or anything like that. So, I mean, that's just part of what I do. And so why not, right?
All right. I got one more question.
Yeah,
I know you're busy and you got a lot of things to do. So, binge-worthy series, in any of your opinion?
Binge-worthy series like Netflix?
Yeah. Do you do any of those?
I do.
What's one?
I'm a sucker for it because you always see me working online, so it's work every day, and so people are always like, "Do you ever take a break?" No, but I do take a break every night before I go to bed. I got roped into Cobra Kai, not thinking I was going to like it.
I loved it.
And then I feel like my whole world around me failed to tell me that LaRusso and all those guys were in it, and I was like, this is amazing. So like literally blasted through 2 seasons and probably like 4 or 5 days. My wife and I did. We're down to the last 2 episodes of season 2, and right before I was going to go watch it, somebody said, "Dude, the last 2 episodes are going to drive you crazy. Like you're not going to even know who to choose as the good guy and bad guy." And so I haven't watched the last 2 episodes yet because I'm just not ready. Mandalorian, cannot wait to check that out. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And then Stranger Things. That would be my thing.
You talked about Cobra Kai. William Zabka.
Yeah.
You know who that is. Okay.
Yeah.
William Zabka's brother, Guy Zabka, is one of our franchise partners.
No kidding.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's so cool.
So it's cool. We got to meet William. I guess it was last year or a couple of years ago we met him, and it was he's a really cool guy.
I had no idea that he was still around, because I don't watch a lot of TV, but I grew up with Karate Kid, so I loved the movie. And about 2 or 3 years ago, I think it was, he was at a show that I was at, and here he comes walking around. He's just checking out people's booth, and I was like, I'm sitting with my wife, and my wife was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Is that who I think it is? And he just comes and flips through our portfolio, and I said, "Hey, dude, are you a guest here?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, I hate to be rude, but can I get a picture with you? I'm a huge Karate Kid fan, and he was a really cool guy. He talked to us for a while, told us some of the stuff that he did on the movie, like, what is that, 25, 30 years ago? And then to see him in Cobra Kai, I was like, dude, I love what they're doing with that show.
And
like,
man, it's it's like one of the best ones on Netflix now.
And did somebody told me that wasn't even on Netflix before. It was like on YouTube or something like that.
YouTube Red.
Wow.
That's where I watched the first 2 series.
I had no idea. I'm a huge fan of both of those guys because my wife did, when we were pregnant with our first child about 6 years ago, she did a charity program, and I always forget his name, that played Daniel LaRusso.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's Daniel, John, no.
Come on, we can do this. Dang it. I'm 44 years old, and I work a lot, so that's
I'm
my
47,
excuse.
So that's my.
That's what it is.
Issue.
We're in our 40s.
That's what it is. That's what
but she did a charity thing with him, and we got to meet him. And like
Danielson.
Danielson, yeah.
That's right.
So we got to meet him, and that dude looks great for, like, I think he's like 54 now.
Ralph Macchio.
Ralph Macchio, dude, I knew it. One of us. Yeah. So he looks fantastic for his age, but he took a picture of me and my wife. My wife's big old pregnant, and we're the 3 of us are together, and he took a picture with us. And I told him, I said, this has got to be the ultimate picture. Like, it's still on my wall in my studio among all my spider. I said, because I just took a picture with the Karate Kid, and he just laughed, and he's like, well, I did other movies. I said, I know, I watched those too, but Karate Kid was cool, But he was super cool.
Think about how. I mean, I know I'm cutting in your time, but
no, you take your time.
You think about the Karate Kid back then, and how popular it was back then. I mean, it was a big. Them were big movies, and then was it 40 years later?
Yeah, 40 years.
It's been almost 40 years,
Holy
hasn't it?
Shit. Wow.
30 years? Probably 30 years.
Oh my God.
It's been a long time. I know
we're
that.
old.
But it's just amazing to see that they can come back 30 years later,
right,
and still be like one of the number one series on
number
Netflix.
one series, and then you see him suit up again, and he's like training these kids in there, and I'm like, this dude's in his 50s. I hope I can do that stuff when I'm in my 50s because
we can't even remember names.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lost cause. I just had hopes, But no, I watch him and he still looks good. How ironic he plays a car salesman owner, but he looks great, man. And I just like, that's a great show. I love what they're doing with that show. They're already filming part of season 3, so I mean, I'm hooked.
Me too.
That's great.
McLain, I know your time has been. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Tell us about tell the fans here that what's your what site can they go? Your YouTube, your Instagram, any of that
Yeah,
stuff?
it's just my name, and so I'm from overseas. I'm from Scotland, so my name is spelled McLain. So don't Americanize it, but it's McLain McGuire. You can find me on Facebook under McLain McGuire, Instagram, Twitter. My website will be built, and probably in about a month. I had to tear it down to redo it because I'm getting more work, so that's great. And so. That'll be up, and and you might be able to find me under Sony Entertainment. I did the music industry for 27 years, so they still have me on cue and stuff like that. So, yeah.
So what part of Scotland?
Part of Scotland?
You said Scotland?
Yeah, southern Albany area, so it's a small village. So, yeah, I mean.
Beautiful. We've been there.
Have you really?
We've been all around Scotland, so yeah, it's beautiful.
I love the home country. I miss it. I haven't been back in probably like 4 or 5 years, but it's good to go over there and just visit family for sure, but also be in your home country. I love the States, but to be in your own country and to sit there, and I mean that those two, Ireland and Scotland, have so much history that are still there, and just like it's good to go. It's good to go back.
You don't have much of an accent.
I don't.
No.
So my accent, I was probably I probably lost it around 5 or 6.
Okay.
And living in Texas,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
you
got that accent.
No offense, Texas. I love you to death, but it ruined me.
I was born and raised here.
Okay, so
Yeah. Well, McLain, it was great having you.
Yeah,
Thanks for
you.
being a guest on Gabe's Cave, and look forward to doing more business with you.
Yeah,
man.
please, man, and thank you for the opportunity on the book, and thank you for having me on the show, man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Cool, man. That was a lot of fun, dude.